You ever have a neighbor so obsessed with rules, so sure the world would fall apart if she wasn't standing there holding it together, that she'd call the cops on you for locking your own pool gate? Yeah, she did that. And I wish I could say that was the weirdest part of my year. But honestly, it was just the beginning. In her universe, peace and privacy look like trouble. So picture this. She's pacing outside my fence, phone glued to her ear, looking like she spotted a fugitive, except the only crime is me sitting poolside, enjoying my own damn property. She's telling the 911 dispatcher, loud enough for half the county. He's locked himself inside our community pool. Only it's not our pool. Never was. Never will be. That pool, every tile, every pipe, every single inch of sun-bleached concrete. My dad and I built it years before the HOA even slapped their sign on the neighborhood. It's written into the deed, plain as day. You'd think facts might matter, but nah, not when Cheryl Maddox is on a mission. Rules matter more than truth in her world. By the time the cops roll up, she's waving her clipboard around like it's a badge. Violation. Unsafe. Noncompliance. She yells. Me? I don't yell. I just pull out the deed, the same one she's already ignored a dozen times, and hand it over to the officer. That was the moment her authority finally hit a brick wall, right there at my fence line. Sometimes the law doesn't need to shout. Sometimes it just stands behind you, arms folded, waiting. But hold up, before we go full courtroom drama, do me a favor. Tell me in the comments, have you ever had an HOA nightmare? Or maybe you're tuning in from somewhere the only rules are gravity and common sense. My name's Ethan Cole. I'm that neighbor who fixes things before they bother you, keeps every receipt since 1997, and believes good fences make for friendly conversations, not cold wars. Now that pool behind my house, it's not just a summer thing. It's where my father taught me that water and boundaries have one thing in common. Ignore them, and you're going to get a reminder you won't like. I learned to read out there, cleared my head out there, and, yeah, I was standing out there the first time Cheryl Maddox came into my life, clipboard in hand, smile that said neighborly, but eyes that said hostile takeover. She introduces herself like she's serving a summons. Mr. Cole, she starts, voice all professional. A few residents believe the pool should be available for community events. It's visible from the sidewalk, so naturally, it's part of our shared aesthetic. I don't rise to it. It's on my deed. I maintain it, insure it, and pay for every last drop. It's not an amenity, it's a responsibility. She glances at my paperwork, lips pursed like she's grading a bad essay. We'll see about that, she says. I don't slam the door. I don't shout. I do what I've always done, put things in order. New lock on the gate. Sign on the fence, private pool. It's not a dare. It's not a wall. It's respect. Liability is real, and so is common courtesy. Except, some people don't see a locked gate as a line. They see it as a challenge. The emails started soft, dressed up as requests, but they got firm quick. Community cohesion, uniform standards, phrases that sound harmless until you're the one getting the letter. I answer once with a copy of the deed, again with a courteous note. By the third round, I stopped explaining. Because this was never about a pool party. It was about control. Cheryl needed to make an example out of the guy who locked his own gate. Here's the part where I remember my dad's voice. Never raise your voice until you've raised your evidence. He wasn't a lawyer. He just understood that boundaries, like fences, are only as strong as your willingness to stand by them. Every summer, we'd fix that old gate together. Squeaky hinges, sticky latch. He'd hand me a wrench and say, if it's worth having, it's worth maintaining. I never realized how much that meant until all this mess. Water doesn't argue, he'd say. It just flows where you let it. People aren't so different. Fast forward. Cheryl's not content with emails. Suddenly, my pool is the cover photo in the HOA newsletter, under the headline Community Feature, maintained by local residents. There's my backyard, out there for the whole block to see. Next morning, Cheryl's out there snapping more pictures. Morning, Cheryl. I say, trying to keep it civil. That pool isn't a community feature. She shrugs, syrup sweet. Oh, I'm sure it's a simple misunderstanding, Ethan. It's just so visible, Feels like it belongs to everyone. Visibility isn't ownership, I reply. She taps her pen on the clipboard, like she's taking down evidence. Of course. Professional courtesy. Spoiler, the correction never shows up. But the rumors do. Now folks are whispering about non-compliant fencing, unregistered structure, safety hazard. People start looking at me sideways. Someone leaves a note in my mailbox. Let's maintain a cooperative spirit. Cheryl's power isn't loud, it's quiet, precise, and meaner because of it. She doesn't confront, she corrects. She doesn't accuse, she advises. Every word polite, every word poison. It gets weird after midnight. I hear splashing. Think it's raccoons. Nope, 3 teenagers climbing out of my pool, laughing their butts off. We're just using the community pool, one kid says. I don't yell, I just point at the sign. Private property. Next morning, I drain the pool, order a new padlock, and put the whole thing under lock and key. Not out of spite, out of responsibility. Because if anyone gets hurt back there, it's on me, not the HOA. 48 hours of peace. Then the email. Unauthorized modification. Violation of bylaw 6.33. Cheryl again, acting like I just put up razor wire. Immediate removal required to avoid daily fines. I send the deed. She shoots back. We'll review at the next board meeting. Compliance expected. I start a new binder. HOA correspondence. Every letter, every fine, every timestamp. If Cheryl wants a paperwork war, well, she's about to meet a professional. The fines start showing up like clockwork. 1 a day. By the end of the week, I've got a stack. Each one clinical, cold. $100 per day until resolved. She's turned the process into a punishment. Something meant to exhaust me, not fix anything. I don't argue. I don't quit. I build my case, page by page. Every piece of mail she sends, she hands me another brick for my wall. Neighbors stop talking. People start acting like I'm hoarding water or plotting something weird behind the fence. Fear spreads fast in neighborhoods like this. Still, a couple of folks check in. Tom next door, a good guy, stops by as I'm fixing the pool light. Man, he says, just give her the code. This isn't worth it. It's not about the code, Tom. It's about control. He sighs. You sound like your dad. That's the point, I say. Then Cheryl takes it up a notch. Mass email. Report suspicious activity at the locked pool. The next night, there's a footprint by my gate that isn't mine. Later that week, I spot a tiny black camera zip-tied to my fence post, pointed right at my backyard. Not mine. 2 days later, a drone hovers overhead, black and ugly, spying. I just stand there, arms crossed, and let her know I see it. Silence can be armor too. Then, the photos start showing up on the HOA Facebook page. My gate, my lock, my filter system, cropped, zoomed, labeled possible hazard. The comments go wild. Why won't he let the board inspect? Maybe he's diverting water. Rumor travels faster than truth. I stop walking the block. People avoid me like I've got the plague. So I double down on my research. County codes, legal forums, other homeowner stories. Turns out Cheryl's not special. There's a Cheryl Maddox in every HOA in America. That's when I find the line that shifts everything. An HOA's authority ends at the edge of private property. A deed is a boundary, not a suggestion. Visibility does not equal jurisdiction. That one sentence, quiet, absolute, legal, hits harder than any argument she's got. I start documenting, compiling, getting my ducks in a row. Then boom, she calls the cops. Sirens, flashing lights. Cheryl standing at the end of my driveway, acting like she's the sheriff herself. He's restricting access, he's modified the pool. This is a safety concern, she tells the officer. The cop's tired, polite. You got a deed, he asks me. I hand it over. He flips through, nods, then gives Cheryl the look you reserve for people who've wasted your time. No violation here. Maybe get yourself a lawyer, he tells me. Cheryl's face goes red. This isn't over, she hisses. No, I say, it's not. So I call Laura Hale, a property rights attorney. She's sharp, calm, knows every trick in the HOA book. Send me everything, she says. By Monday, she's got the binder, the drone footage, the fines, the whole mess. 3 days later, she calls back. Ethan, you're not going to like this, but you need to hear it. Turns out, the HOA quietly rerouted storm drainage from the entire cul-de-sac through my property. No permit, no disclosure. If the pipe bursts, guess who's on the hook? Me. But now we've got leverage. County inspection day comes. Half the neighborhood gathers. Cheryl is center stage, dressed for war. Today, the county will confirm this pool was never properly permitted, she says, rallying the crowd. The inspector shows up, so does the sheriff. I hand over the deed, the original survey, everything notarized. The inspector walks the line, looks at the maps, and says, "This is all private property. Not HOA. Not public." Murmurs ripple through the crowd. Cheryl's voice cracks as she tries to argue. The sheriff cuts in. Bylaws don't outrank deeds, ma'am. That's not how the law works. Cheryl tries one last time, cites accessibility, says the lock is an issue. The inspector shakes his head. Ma'am, that's a private gate. We have no say. For the first time, Cheryl's posture slips. And here's the real twist, the thing that gets everyone's attention. Laura brings out the evidence of the storm drainage scam. The judge sees it, the county inspector confirms it, and suddenly the whole script flips. Cheryl's been fining me for protecting my property, all while using it illegally herself. The ruling? All fines voided. HOA to pay damages. Cease and desist on my property, effective immediately. The moment the gavel hits, Cheryl crumbles. The clipboard slips out of her hands, pages of fake citations and bylaws scattered on the floor like confetti. Her pearl necklace snaps, beads bouncing in every direction. There's a hush, like everyone's finally exhaled. The judge tells me, not everyone has the patience to do this the right way. You did. Don't lose that. The aftermath moves fast. Cheryl resigns with a single sentence, no apology, no goodbye. A for sale sign goes up. The county rebuilds the HOA, smaller board, new bylaws, transparency in every meeting. The pool that started all this is just a pool again. Tom brings over beer. Mrs. Henderson leaves a pie. Even the veteran down the street, fined for his flag, gets to raise it again. We install it together, concrete still wet when the flag catches the sun. And for the first time in years, Madison Creek feels like a place worth belonging to. Sometimes justice doesn't roar, it just waits for the paperwork to collapse under its own weight. Justice, like water, finds its own level if you let it flow. My father's words, written in his old notebook, come back to me. Boundaries don't divide a community, they protect it. And authority? It stops at the deed line, no matter how loud the clipboard. But you know what sticks with me most? The silence after it all ended. Not the angry kind, just peace. Vindication. The pool isn't a battleground. It's a reflection. A mirror of what we become when we fight for what's fair and let go of the need to win every argument. I fixed a little plaque on the gate. Private reservoir. Cole family. Legacy, not pride. So now, let me ask you, if justice only arrives after everything breaks, is it still justice or just karma coming home to roost? Where's the line between order and control, between neighbor and nuisance? Tell me, what would you have done? Ever drawn your own line in the sand? Drop your story in the comments. Let's talk about boundaries, about standing your ground, or about that time you watched karma do its thing in real life.